Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Denise R. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. I'm glad. Me too. I just actually came in from outside. Isn't that
Nice.
amazing?
Yes, it's beautiful. I had a bike ride today.
Ah, how good. How good. What did you notice when you were out there? What's blooming?
Everything's blooming. Still no milkweeds though, but I'm watching like a hawk.
Oh, yeah, they come out later, like June, July.
They do, but I want to be the first one to collect a monarch egg this year,
I
you
hear
know.
you, girl. You'll
I
do it.
want to post that picture on there and say I got my first
Number
egg.
one, number one. Guys, welcome to Trauma Survivors Walking Each Other Home. Welcome to Denise. Welcome to me. I'm Holly Elissa Bruno, and we get together once a week because what we want to talk about is how on earth trauma survivors, including people that have had really ongoing trauma, and so that we have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, how can we claim our birthright to joy? And how can we live really full and complete lives, not ruled by trauma, but informed by trauma? So this time, Denise and I talked ahead of time and we talked about which tough subject did we want to take on. And I always look forward to hearing what Denise is going to say. And she always chooses the tougher subject. So she got it. So Denise, can you tell us what topic you believe you chose
Uh,
for this week?
about relationships, about how we can engage in relationships. And so I do have a angle on that,
Oh, I'm
which
ready.
is recently I joined a group of women who it's a social club. We
Good.
play cards, we go bowling, they go shoot pool, things like that. So I had my first crush in
I
a
remember that was a couple of months ago.
it was actually longer than that.
Okay.
I was still working.
That's right. It's before, my God, that was months ago, like maybe half a
Yes.
year ago or more.
Yeah, probably half a year ago.
Okay.
And but I think that is, that sensation, that feeling, that was really fun to have that, even though it didn't develop any further,
Mm.
luckily right away I noticed a huge red flag. So
Good for you. Now that's look,
yeah,
you said two very big deals already, which I'd like to go into. Number
yep,
one is catching the red flags. Honey, we've seen red flags all our lives as trauma survivors and walk right through them. They're
yep,
like saying, come on over.
right.
Red, come on over.
Can I help you with that flag?
Right. Let me iron it for you. Let me wash it. Let me iron it. Oh my God. Yeah, and that's part of my conditioning as a trauma survivor, to look to save people, to look to rescue people, to look to help people that don't necessarily feel good about themselves, feel great about themselves. And I know that's one of my skills because part of the trauma raising upbringing that I had was to take care of my troubled mother. My mother was psychotic, but I didn't know that at the time. So as I took care of her and I cheered her up and I got her to dance with me and I got her to sing with me and I got her to share stories of things that she loved with me, I became real good as a little kid. A little kid. Do you believe little kids can do this,
Oh yeah.
Denise? Right from the get go. I mean, I knew 2, 3, 4 years old that I was there to take care of my mother and keep her from getting depressed. So, what this added up to in terms of our topic of how on earth can we do healthy relationships, especially intimate relationships, when we didn't see them, we didn't experience them, and it's hard given the conditioning we have to find them. So, what I'm saying is point number one you made, good for you for being able to see the red flags, because a lot of trauma survivors, and I'm going to ask the people who are going to be listening to this later, what about you? I mean, do you catch the red flags or do you say, it's okay, I can love this person through it,
Love through it, right.
love through it? So how on earth did you catch the red flag, girl? I remember you did. It was pretty clear.
Yeah, it was just that, I just saw that she wasn't available to, support me in a traumatic moment, which was okay, which was good. I kept myself safe. I
Mm.
left the situation where I didn't feel safe, and then I was, disappointed, and then I waited a few days, and there was no reaching out. So then I knew that, okay, I won't put any more energy into it. But it was really fun
Oh,
to have
good.
a crush, and to want to cook for her, and you know go hang out.
Have conversations. Is that one of the things you love too?
Yeah, huge conversations, and play board games. We did that.
Oh, good. So there
Yeah,
was some good stuff.
there was some really good stuff, and the sensations, the physical
Yes.
sensations are so nice.
Hmm.
Fluttery and excitement, and you want to
No
look
wonder,
cute.
no wonder you like butterflies because of that fluttery thing in the
Right, I like
chest.
fluttery. They flutter.
They flutter. There's a French word for that called frisson,
Bristle.
Frisson, frisson. And it means that quivery feeling we get inside. And I
Yeah.
know that one really well. So there's another thing, sweetie. Before we leave the red flags, I just want to ask, when the minute you saw the red flag, like she wasn't looking out for you in a traumatic situation, did you try to overcome that? Did you push back inside yourself and say, it's okay, we'll get through this? Or did you just say, that's it, I deserve more, or something in between?
Yeah, I knew what I said. I got this,
Okay.
and I went home. And yeah,
You left,
I
right
knew,
then.
right. I left the uncomfortable situation, kept
Wow.
myself safe, and I was fine with that. And I need in my relation someone who has my back. I got you, you got me. I really want that as part of my healthy romantic
Mm-hmm.
relationship.
So I love this already because what we're teasing out is the ability to have a healthy relationship as trauma survivors. We need to have, number one, someone we can begin to trust. And trust comes incrementally. And when a red flag comes up, that clearly was the message to you. No, this isn't going to work. Let me ask you one other thing though. Did you think of saying, hey, look, here's what's going on right now and I need your help? Did you think of like talking with her about it?
Um,
Or was it not appropriate?
it wasn't good to do that because she went in and entered in with the other people.
Mm-hmm.
They were late and I was early. And so I was there by myself, and it was very uncomfortable. I opened the door to this bar, and there was like, oh, don't let me exaggerate, 7 or 8 men sitting at the bar having their drink after work, and every one of them turned their head and looked at me.
And you were all alone at that point.
Right. And they weren't in there for me to go to
Right.
because they were late and I was early.
So you stayed there inside the bar with these guys.
A little bit, not that much. I ordered a soda, Coca-Cola at the bar,
Mm-hmm.
sipped it, and then walked around to see if there was any comfortable corner.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't. So I put my drink down and left.
Okay. And did she see you when you were leaving? Or did you guys
No,
have any? Oh, okay.
they were late. They
Okay.
arrived late.
Oh boy. So
Yeah.
in that
So
case,
I
it
just
was.
knew that, she can't be there for me, and that's good to know. And now
Mhm.
gone from that
That girl.
desire. But I did enjoy the crush part.
Well, let's talk about that because I love that. In fact, I used to say I loved it so much I was addicted to it because it does release that having a crush, that feeling attracted to somebody that I could have danced all night. I could have
Right.
danced all night. That endorphins, those endorphins that get released, girl, they are fun. They
Yeah.
obliterate pain. They
Yeah.
take care of aches.
Yep.
They make me feel like really attractive. I just think about the person and want to have great conversations and dance
Right.
with the person and all that. I mean, was that what's going on with you too?
Yeah, it was very stimulating in that way. And yeah, it's awesome. I like that part. The thing about me is I don't get crushes very often. I get them very unoften.
Oh, so it's really special.
Yeah.
What were the
But
traits of this person that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
but I knew that this is the crush and this should not go further. And the crush was great.
So point number 3 or 4, whatever, keeping score here that you're
And
making is really helpful. It's like, no, trust yourself.
right, exactly.
And how did you know how to do that, girl?
I don't know. I mean, because I learned in my therapeutic activities to
Mhm.
feel what my body feels and identify it. I mean, I learned that with the kids at preschool.
Mhm.
Where is the feeling? What feeling do you think that is? And I
And
learned to do that for myself.
you were learning along with the kids.
Right.
That's really good. Wow. Did you have any surprises when you were doing that in the classroom?
Tons of surprises. I mean, the
Like when you
children,
realized, yeah, go ahead.
the children that need it the most,
Hmm.
they grab it and they start helping everybody else. If
Oh,
you
I
can
love
turn
that.
them, like I had a child who watched his mom shot to death in front of him at the bus stop, okay? That kid became the helper when he came back after his trauma, and he carried a helper bag, a care bag, and he had band-aids and I think maybe not cough drops. We couldn't put cough drops, just things that he could
Mhm.
help people with. And he loved that job. And he could go right to anybody and say, if it looks like you feel angry, your eyes are going like this, your face is going like this, you
Mhm.
look angry. And he was such a cute, he learned all the little rituals to help people with their feelings. The
I
kid
know
that
that's
needs
right.
it the most,
Mhm.
they show you too, but they're not easy, but they're
No,
good.
but you may have, by his doing that, that may have changed his life.
Yeah, it did change his life.
Can you talk more about that? Because I believe that I've seen that, but I'm not sure everybody's listening has seen a little kid transform.
Yeah. Because I had him for 2 years. No,
Mm,
I knew him when he was 2 because I worked at a church and
yeah.
his dad came and dug up a huge garden, like all in one day, like a huge garden, turned
Wow.
over all the soil, and Ricky was out there with him and they were jumping around. And that was where we walked past the garage to get to our playground. And so the first time we saw him, we spoke to him, of course. Hi, how are you? And his dad is a caveman, okay? He is like a total caveman. And I loved him and he loved me. So Ricky started that next year when he was 3. The minute he was 3, he started with me. And then I had him for like a year and a half with
Wow.
huge behavior problems.
Mhm.
And
So the trauma was going on before his mother got
it
shot.
was before, yeah. That was the culmination.
Yeah.
It was
Oh, that's
actually like the Hatfields and McCoys. in their neighborhood.
Mm,
And
mm.
this guy ended up coming over and trying to shoot him. He started their house on fire. It was really crazy. But Rick was able to become a helper in the classroom and manage, self-regulate with coaching.
That's
And
beautiful. How do
yeah,
you feel about that term, self-regulate?
it's important because if we don't pay attention to ourselves,
Hmm.
we're out of control.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, the point is well taken. And sometimes I feel like self-regulation is such a kind of mechanical term,
it
and it
is,
takes,
it's very industrial.
but it
Sounds like a
takes,
gear, you know.
right, let's regulate this. It's like a
Right.
law, but,
What
but
it
real,
really is attending inward,
yes, it is. And it takes a lot of
practice.
practice and intuition and desire and skill development and making mistakes and learning from mistakes. I mean, it's just like being an adult, what this
Right,
kid is doing. And the fact
right.
that he was able to, I mean, let's name it, he had three skills already. One was to identify who was hurting, so he could read people as well as he read books.
He could,
Two, he
because he
had
was
the,
hyper vigilant. He was always watching, where's that fist coming from?
mhm.
Where's the
And
caveman?
right. Where's the fire going to be set tomorrow? And there's a see there it is. There's a trait of traumatized kids. You and I both had hypervigilance. I can still have it. You know, I still joke about, and it happened just last week in West Virginia. Whenever I could, I would go to the back of the restaurant so I could watch everything. And one
Right.
time I got there, I was the second to get there at 4, and the person had already chosen table right smack in the middle. And I said, "Okay, I'll just put my back as much as I can
Yeah,
to the safe place and be able to watch." It's just you know what it is. It's literally a physical need that
right.
I have for safety. So
Yeah,
look at this, Ricky. He takes his hypervigilance, which can be paralyzing because it means I can't focus on myself if I'm always
right,
watching out for danger.
right.
But he takes that and he turns it into a strength. He uses it for the greater good. So he
He,
sees,
we taught him that. He had also a mental health worker from the mental health
okay.
company in Toledo, a woman I adore. We worked together in giving him the skills to help and the items the props that he needed to feel like he could help.
So how did that work? Did you have a bag to begin with, or how did he
We
figure out what
created it for him. It's part of the Becky Bailey's conscious discipline.
discipline? Yeah.
She has so many offshoots activities that you can do. And this woman, uh, she came into my classroom, observed, and helped me think about how to help Ricky the best way for Ricky. And she came up with the helper idea, the helper bag. I think she even came with the stuff in it. Like there were tissues. I think there was a little bottle of water. Now we would have the feelings buddies. I got a small set of feelings buddies. I'd carry that out too, so that
So tell us what feelings buddies are.
I'll show you. I got them right here
Okay.
on my phone.
All right. How cool. Ah, cool. So angry, scared, sad, happy, frustrated, anxious, disappointed, and calm.
Right. Which these are the
Mhm.
main feelings, and these
Mhm.
are their cousins.
Sure, if I'm angry, I can also be frustrated first. That's
Right.
really good. So she brought that, and that was in Ricky's bag.
I got this later. We had the feelings
Okay.
buddies in our class, in our classroom, and we did that curriculum.
Mm,
So,
wow.
that helped the mental health people, Harbor, which I always called them Rainbow. I don't know why, but their name was Harbor. And
Yeah.
they, brought the bag and the materials and followed Ricky around and helped him see, oh, you could help out here with a tissue. Oh, you could help out here with a Band-Aid. Do you want to write something down? Here. Also, you could give stickers to make people feel happy. I mean, yeah, it was a beautiful
Wow.
thing.
That is so good. And so, okay, so back to us and
Right,
relationships. So here's this little guy who at age 3 or 4 is learning to be a helper, not a codependent helper where he's taking care of other people and avoiding his own stuff, but he's identifying his own feelings by being able to identify somebody else. So if he looks
right,
at the kid that's, he says to that little kid, you look angry, your face looks like this, and you look like this. What's going on? It's wonderful
yeah,
that he can recognize that. Like Fred Rogers said, what do I do with the mad that I have? Well, you helped him know what he could do with the mad that he had. And
right.
I bet,
Stomp your feet.
right.
Rip up paper, make balls of paper we would let him do and throw it in the garbage and really hard.
I have a friend from India that she makes dolls. She's in childcare too. She makes dolls and they're kind of primitive and they're really, she stuffs them and everything. And so when her son had tantrums and was throwing a tantrum, she created the tantrum. And she said, here's the tantrum, throw it. So he would throw this tantrum doll across the room, and then she'd say, "Go get it again. You can throw it again. You can't hurt that doll. The doll would go bump, bump, bump." And ever since then, I thought, what a cool thing to help a child throw your tantrum.
right.
Just throw it,
Throw it,
Wow,
baby.
throw it, baby. So back to this thing about us and being adults looking for relationships. I want to go a little bit deeper into that thing about the high of having a crush. It is for me what I realized. I'm not doing it now, but I can still get the feeling, but I'm not following up on it like I used
Right,
to. When I was in my 20s, going to law school, going to graduate school, all this stuff, it was tough stuff. And what I remember that helped me was to fall in love. And fall in love, get a crush, because I felt like, ooh, there's potential here. And I made the potential more than it ever could be. In other words, I turned it into this real idea like, oh man, this person's going to be great. And um, there's where the addiction, I think I had some
right.
addiction here. Yeah,
And
go ahead.
that's when the red flag gets
Yes,
tossed
that's
over.
right.
Every red flag, because you're already turned on to loving every single thing about this person.
Mhm. Do you think everybody does that?
I don't know. I know I do.
I don't know either, but
I
I
mean, I
have.
know I have.
Yeah.
However, this is the thing about my abuse happened when I was like 16 years old still. It happened
Mhm.
young too, but so when I was supposed to be getting crushes, when I was supposed to be naturally exploring my body and whatnot, I couldn't. I belonged to someone already. And so it was stifled. Me getting crushes was stifled. Like I couldn't even recognize a crush. I didn't even come out till I was 22 years old. It was a
Still, you did.
heterosexual guy, right? It was a heterosexual guy who said, we're checking out the same people. I go, we are? He goes, yeah, I think you're gay.
Oh, I'm
I
glad
go,
he was able to say that to you.
yeah, I go, oh. And so he took me to a gay bar
Oh,
and,
how
I just
nice.
walked in and I was like, yep, I'm gay.
How was that?
It was
How was that
awesome.
awareness? Good.
Yeah.
Did
So
you
then I
worry
came
about,
home, tell my sisters, because my sister knew the guy too. And they said, we always knew that. And I go, well, thanks for telling me.
yeah, that's the way it seems to work a lot. But hey, at least you were 22, so you had the rest of your life.
Right.
How is it that you didn't know? Did you ever think about that? I mean, you were
I
just
thought I
explaining
had gay
some of it.
friends. I knew I had gay friends. I had a gay friend when I was in elementary school. She was a paper boy, and I
Hmm.
would follow her around on her bike so she wouldn't get jumped for her money.
Yeah, good.
Uh, Lori Obi, yeah.
I love
But
it.
I had gay friends. I did not think I was gay.
Okay.
Because I was nothing. I was in
Neutral.
suspension or
Oh, that's a great way to look at that because that neutrality is like lack of identity.
right.
Is that what it felt like?
Yes, yes.
And in
Yep.
suspension? I mean, in my case, you said you were like you felt owned during that time period. And I didn't realize this until later when I was able to be honest with myself about the incest. But I was owned by my father. He was, I was his sexual object, and he made it clear that I was with what's the word? I was beholden to him. No,
Right.
it was never said, but it was
No,
acted out in
it was
every way.
understood.
Yeah. And I couldn't either. I didn't know how to develop any kind of relationship when I was young because I had this primary relationship already.
Right.
I used to say for years before I had kids that I wasn't having kids because I was taking care of my parents. They were my kids. And in the way
Right.
that was true. Um, but yeah, see, now I think we're getting down to one of the tough things, Denise, about having relationships is being beholden to somebody or something else that owns us, that owned us. So what would you say owned you?
My evil stepfather and my place in the family and that I was supposed to be quiet and yeah.
Yeah, and in my case, my pedophile father was he was just doing what was right for him and not and as a
You were
narcissist.
allowed to. Their generation, the patriarchy was somewhat different then. Now it's more secretive and undercover, but they could just take what they want. And
we
it
we
was
were
to
theirs.
be, yeah, it was to be expected and sucked.
Yeah, it's really awful. I mean, I sometimes I remember this thing that this point made by a man who was abused, traumatized, and he became alcoholic. That's how he dealt with it. And his parents were both alcoholics. And what he said was, we can't escape that kind of upbringing without feeling a ball of rage inside of us and a wound of sorrow inside of us. And it's only been in the last 5 years that I've been able to embrace that and say, it's okay if you're angry, girl. This went on. This
Right,
was like ownership. It was like I was, the law used to call it chattel, like a cow was chattel. Well, a
right.
woman and kids were chattel. Chattel just meant possession. And
Your
my friend,
innocence was robbed.
right now, this is big. This is big in relationships because if our innocence got robbed,
It's
we
hard
still,
for us to be vulnerable. And without being vulnerable, then you're not genuine. You're protecting. So it's really a very rocky road because safety,
Mhm,
genuine, safety, genuine. The stronger we get, maybe the better
mhm.
we'll see, but
And
it's
lack of safety, inauthentic.
right,
Lack of safety, don't, no, I'm not going to show myself to you.
right.
I think what was going on also, and this might be getting into some stuff that it might be hard for listeners. So I just want to remind people, Denise just took her glass of water. I'm gonna take mine. I got my dragonfly water glass. She got to take care of myself. And
Because you
oof,
get dry mouth when
That's right. That's a trauma survivor thing. That the fear gives me dry mouth. And also because the sexual abuse was oral in my case,
Right.
it just triggers all kinds of stuff. My throat starts getting tight, I get dry. When I was having it really badly as a child, I didn't feel I could swallow. It was very embarrassing because I felt I had to spit because I didn't want to swallow. Got so much to swallow. I thought, ugh. And I'm not going to go any more deeply into that in terms of sexual abuse, but I felt like I didn't have the right to have a relationship with anybody but my father.
Right.
He got to own me. And here's another thing, it's an ethnic thing, and I don't know about your ethnicity, but so I'm Sicilian, and as I've said, and my friend who is Greek said to me, Holly, don't you know that Greek, Sicilian men from isolated places like islands, like Greece is, like Sicily is, they had the right to initiate their daughters. They felt it was their right to
Teach them.
teach the daughter.
Right. I've heard of this before. And if that was the precedence and it was discussed with me as a
Mm-hmm.
5-year-old or whatever, how can
Mm-hmm.
you, I mean, yes, if it's done in a respectful, uh kind way, without power, without the power thing, because it's the power that is sucked.
That's the truth. I mean, you talk about innocence and power. Like there's a real relationship there. I think children come to the earth with a lot of power because of our innocence.
Right.
We have the power to see, the power to be in awe, the power to be happy, the power to be sad. We have this, it's like,
Self-regulate naturally.
yeah, to learn. I mean, the greatest power is to like, so I can like remember and I can see the kids and I can still do it. When something fascinates me, girl, I just go, I don't quit. I go right after that. I
Yeah,
just
remember
keep,
when those ants came in my room?
oh Lord, yes.
I was like so fascinated with them. I was like,
Oh yeah. I got home from a long trip and it was the middle of the night that I got home from the airport and I walked in my kitchen, turned on the lights, and I saw a little field mouse go running right underneath my oven. And I said, oh Lord, oh Lord, there it is. Why I'm talking about that is that I could not notice it. Now, here's something interesting. Because my eyes are aging, there is a syndrome which I just learned about from my eye doctor. Forget what it's called, but it's named after a person. And when our vision starts to be less adept, our eyes fill in for what we're not seeing. So I have my bed facing this beautiful Palladian window, which got trees on the other side of it. The sun rises there. And so if I wake up at different times and I look at that window, I see all kinds of beautiful patterns. It looks like Matisse sometimes. Sometimes it looks like tropical settings. Sometimes it looks like um, some kind of a watercolor. It's beautiful. And what I used to do is wake up and say, well, I'm half awake and I'm just really enjoying this show. And then I noticed that I can see stuff like sometimes I'll see something out of the corner of my eye, like thinking something's moving over there, and it's not. But what the doctor explained to me, that I researched it, is that this syndrome means that my eyes hallucinate. And that's the kind of clinical term, that they're hallucinating. But I decided when I got that diagnosis, I said, I'm gonna have me a good time with it. It's like I'm gonna love looking out my window in the morning. And if
right,
I see a shadow and the shadow isn't there, I can just say, thank you, that was fascinating. Or
full shadow.
yeah, it's like and there's something that I think comes out of being traumatized. I think that's a gift of being traumatized, that instead of being scared to death of being told that my eyes are hallucinating, I just thought this it's just like what you said before about just be honest with me, just tell me what I've got and I can deal with it.
Right.
So I deal with this now. It's actually doesn't, I don't feel sad because I can still see. I don't feel impaired, but I feel like, man, I got this like superpower.
A little bonus, right? You got a bonus visual altercation.
What I want to say to you also, Denise, is the thing you were describing. We're talking about innocence. We're talking about power being sucked. Your term was it got sucked out. True. And I felt what happened to my power is it got crammed down. I took my power and hid it beneath every possible defense that I could because I didn't want my father to take it. Sometimes he did, but I didn't want him to take it. So I figured if I just kept hiding it deeper and deeper, he wouldn't get to me. And here's something, he wouldn't get to my soul. I didn't want him ever to get to my soul, but there were times when he was so abusive and sadistic that he did get to me. And then I quit. I gave up. I said, this is the way life's going to be. Fortunately, I bounced back from that. But that was the horrible message, like no power, robbing of innocence, and no freedom. That was the other thing, no freedom. I want to say, too, that when I read Bessel van der Kolk's Body Keeps the Score, and then like a couple of years ago, he had a book club. So I was an online book club. So I joined it. And I'm reading the first few pages of this again. And the book's got all kinds of markers in it because I've read it a lot. But I'm reading this thing and it says, back in the day, psychiatrists and psychologists felt that it was legitimate. Male psychiatrists, psychologists felt it was legitimate to sleep with their clients. Now, how the hell did they rationalize that? Well, we're educating these women. Come on.
Right.
Talk about,
Oh,
come on, what bullcrap, you
so
know?
gross.
It is so gross. And then I experienced that as an adult, this therapist like taking advantage. And I was, again, here's what comes up. I want to ask you if this happens to you. There's sometimes when I feel really attracted to someone that I feel naive, innocent. It's like the purity of the love, like a child would love something. A child, like children love us as teachers, they just outright love us, just want to kiss and hug. And
Right.
that's the innocence that I still have in me. And I just observe it. I don't judge it, but I observe that I can just see this person, the strength and the beauty in the person. That innocence I like. But when I tip it over into, oh, well, this is the most beautiful person I ever met in my life.
Right.
This
Oh,
person's
this
going to,
is the one.
this is the only one. And not only that, this person knows me. This person can see me. This person gets me. Yeah, that's why it's tough. I don't, have you had this problem? This is why it's tough for me to be in sometimes in therapy because the person's job in therapy is to listen to me, pay attention to me, get me, understand me. And when that happens, I feel loved. And then I need to deal with, wait a minute, there's love and there's love. But that's
Right.
why it's called transference. Like
Right.
how to
When I
transfer.
went to a lesbian therapist who was, somewhat in my age group, I knew in advance to not allow myself to get a crush on her. I just, you know, I do have discipline, uh,
Mhm,
self-discipline that way.
mhm.
So
I hear you. And I waver on that because I feel like I'm the feeling of free flowing love, intimate love is so precious and so
it's
onyx
awesome.
awesome. And it's not something that I have experienced that much over a lifetime. I've had it at the beginning of relationships, and then when the relationship starts to not be great, I just knuckle down and make the best of it. That's what I did. Knuckle
As long as
down,
possible, right? I
make
did.
the best of it. but it's not, and try to dredge up the love again. But that might be a strange definition of love. I wonder if people who've been together, okay, listeners, you can tell us, if people have been together 50 years, 30 years, do they still have that innocent passion, that innocent,
That crush.
yeah, just the,
Like
yeah,
when yeah, some do. I mean, when they see their partner, they know love. And
let's
every
see.
time they see that, yeah, when they see that person, they know love.
God, see, that's something that I'd like to experience. I did, but it was also part of the you would call it crush, I would call it my infatuation stage.
Right.
Right. I could have infatuation stages that would last a long time. And they were aided by sex because sex released all these, great chemicals in my body that said, oh, this is good. I'm in love. I'm in love. I'm in love. And I would just perpetuate that as long as I could. But when I was in my 20s and I wasn't looking for commitment, I was looking for relationships, experience. I had no problem actually moving on. So if I was in a relationship, I didn't feel like I had to stay. Um, and that was very freeing. It's only when I got to be
That was
30.
the times too, the times were free love.
Mm-hmm,
Uh, Women had a lot more birth control.
mm-hmm. That's right. And it was, you're right about the times. It was, um, well, love the one you're with.
Right.
Crosby, Stills and Nash, right? If you
Love the
can't
one
find
you with.
the one you're with, if you can't find the one you love,
The one you
then
want, then
the one
fine.
you want, love the one you're with.
Yep.
I know that one real well. I know it real well. I was just reading, oh dear, what's her name? The woman who wrote a book called The Women, and she wrote Nightingale, and she wrote all these other books. Kristen Hannon. She's also a recovering attorney, and she's an excellent storyteller. And she writes really well about the crushes in the beginning and how overwhelming they are. And I wonder if what does a normal relationship go through? Is there the crush? And then after the crush and the passion is still there, then there's the whole thing of the marriage, which can split people apart, but it also it's just such a ritual and the whole community gets involved and there's all this beauty I never had this, but I know many women who did, that the bride has her dream wedding. She knows all this. Did you know women like that had that?
I didn't go to any of my friends' weddings really, interestingly. I moved away when I was 22
Okay,
from Toledo to Arizona.
that's
So
right.
I missed all that kind of glamorous wedding stuff.
Well, I never, as a kid, because of this being possessed by my father and not feeling I was ever available to myself, let alone other people, I never had this dream of walking down the aisle in a white dress.
Me either.
It was just not something that I really look forward to. But I know women that did. I know women that
Yeah,
did.
a lot of women did. That was their whole um interest in life.
Have you ever watched Hallmark Movies channel?
Oh, my sister watches that every time I'm there. I mean, it is kind of, it took me a while to get used to it. At first, I hated it kind of, but then it does help you see how a relationship could go
In an idealized way.
in
I
an
mean,
idealized.
there's always some bump in the road, man meets woman, and now on occasion, because they really got a lot of grief and they deserved it because they weren't going to do any couples besides heterosexual couples.
Right.
And so when the word got out on that, a number of us said, we're not watching, you're done. We're not watching. And And that's straight, gay, whatever. People said that. And so they started having, I don't know if you've noticed, they have gay people, they have gay couples.
I didn't see
Everybody's,
any yet.
oh my God, girl, they're always perfect. We've got Dr. So and so with artist so and so.
Right,
And I mean, they kiss, they hug, they love, but it's not, it's always perfect. It's always just perfect. And there's
right.
always a heterosexual partner that's encouraging them. And anyway, the thing that here's the truth, I use sometimes when I'm really tired and weary and I just want to relax, I can watch a Hallmark movie and think, isn't it wonderful that things can work?
Yes. Yeah, I got used to it. The last time I went, I actually enjoyed it, and they're very dependable.
Yes.
You can really know what's gonna, they're easy to watch.
Easy to watch and predictable. I mean, there's two people get together and one of them has no interest whatsoever, or just
Sometimes it looks like the same woman, the same woman, the same woman, or the same guy, they have like
because
a
it is.
type, right?
They got the same. They've got like four or five main men and
Right,
four or five main women, and you'll see them Saturday night with one person, and the next night they're with another person.
right. Falling
So
in
it's
love.
falling
Oh,
in love with love is falling for make believe.
right,
Anyway, why I'm talking about Hallmark is because I was raised, I didn't, TVs just came out in the 50s and I was born in 45. So we had a TV when I was little and it was, but not that little. But kids these days, they see TV all the time. But I wasn't, what did I see? I didn't watch Leave It to Beaver or the Brady Bunch or stuff like that. Did you see that stuff?
I did see some of that, yeah.
Did it affect
I
you?
was an outdoor
Yeah.
kid. I
Mm.
was outdoors whenever possible. I watched TV at night when my mom she wanted me to stay up so she to go down in the basement with her to wash the clothes or whatever to help her. You know, I would stay up and watch TV at night when, with more adult stuff, Johnny Carson but I did see
Oh,
some Brady Bunch, but I wasn't sucked into I was sucked into Dark Shadows. Did you ever see that one?
yeah. I watched Rod Serling. What was that thing called? That was really good. It was really well done how he did that. I also got to watch I Love Lucy.
Yeah, that was funny.
And what was great was Lucy was the main character.
Right,
She was a wife, she was a mother, but she was the main character. And so the message was, you know what? She's a wife, she's a mother, but she's also a pretty interesting woman. And that was a good thing because everybody in my neighborhood, everybody was a wife and a mother, and none of them really had a life. They were always just
right,
drained. I mean, the woman next door was a really good Catholic, and she had one kid after another, and she was a drinker. So she was either drinking, having babies, drinking. So it's like not a pretty thing. But back to where we are, I think we got about 10 minutes left, Denise. Back
yep,
to where we are about being trauma survivors and wanting to have an honest, loving, intimate relationship. What else have you learned and what have I learned that would help us do that? And already you've said some helpful things like watch the red flags. I'm better at that these days. Yes. Two, for me, I know that my innocence, my trust, that little girl in me that never got to trust anybody or be innocent with somebody. I was innocent with the out of doors and innocent with nature, but not with people. So when I'm with somebody that I can really trust, my innocence comes up. And what do I need? Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you have that? Somewhat, are you protecting that? No. Okay.
I don't think I have that.
Okay.
She's
I do.
very, I have an image of her. I have a little clay figure that I made. She, no, innocence is in a special safe place that it has, there's a couple doorways and windows and whatnot that she's in a cave protected. And I have not invited her to come forward,
Mm.
if you know what I mean.
So you're protecting her,
She's
keeping her safe.
protected, right? I would have to, I'll have to know someone very well to go there, which is also a kind of a warning sign to those who might be interested in pursuing you, that there's a hidden secret part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and what that can set us up for is conquering. You know, can somebody get through to that very
Right,
sacred inner space?
right.
And since I have come as an adult to identify that sacred inner space with my soulfulness, I see that that innocence was really, this is a challenging thing to look at, but what is that innocence? It's just the faith in the moment that everything's okay, that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. That's something I did not experience ever as a child. So when my innocence comes up, I, in the moment with this person, allow myself to have a really good time, to really share my soul, to be true to myself. And actually, here's what I've discovered over the years is that I'm continuing now, not just starting to do this with more and more people. I can get on a bus and have like, hey, how you doing? Kind of conversations. But with most people, I have pretty authentic conversations. And if the person's not able to do that, I don't judge them. I just say, hey, great, good to see you. Have a great day. But if I'm sitting with somebody and like the woman who came to look at my skylights that have got to be replaced, we were talking a bit and she said, oh, you're a writer. I said, yeah. She said, what do you write about? Well, trauma and recovery. She said, well, interesting. I just found out about, she said, complex trauma. I said, oh, yeah, I got that. I got it. I mean, I literally got it. And so within a matter of just a few minutes, we were talking about this whole issue. And I said, yeah, well, every Monday afternoon, we do a conversation. And today, my buddy Denise chose the topic of how are we going to ever do relationships if we didn't know intimacy and we couldn't trust people and people took advantage. And she said, yeah, I'm here to tell you that I have the rest of my life. I have a lifetime of learning to do about that. So it may just be that it may be a gift. Let's just try this out. Maybe it's a gift that we're trauma survivors, Denise, because I don't, speaking for myself, I don't fit into any of the patterns, the romantic patterns of the wife, the bride. I don't fit that stuff. It just never worked for me. So I'm forging my own way. And maybe people that have authentic relationships forge their own ways. What do you think?
Yeah, I hope so.
I do too. I do too. What would forging your own way mean to you?
Well, to me, it's like keep going out there, to keep going out there and meeting another individual and another one and another one and another one. It's to keep that hope alive.
Did you do the online dating thing and get give up on that, or did you try
Yeah, I
that?
gave up on that. It was not worth my time and effort. And 29 bucks a month or whatever it was.
Oh. Yeah, the great thing is they've got one for lesbians, right? They've got some, not just
Yeah.
one.
The
Yeah,
first time I did it, it was only eHarmony was available, and I went through like 3 hours of filling out their questionnaire.
mm.
And at the end, it was only women choosing men or men choosing women. There was no women choosing women. Oh, I was so disappointed.
Yeah, I
Uh,
hear you. Oh man. I don't know, Match or something I forget what it was, but it was, I think, a paid thing. And I discovered I mean, I had all of these guys hitting on me, and I discovered 3/4 of them were, and came from one of them. He said to me, at our age, we're looking for a nurse or a purse. Oh my God, you nailed it. I said, what about you? What are you looking for? And he claimed to be looking, and I think he wanted to be looking for a real relationship. He just couldn't do it. He'd been 50 years married, and then his wife died. And he
Right,
wanted to get out there and start a relationship. But you know what? How long does it take us to get over
right,
a relationship where we have been melded with somebody? And he was in a traditional marriage where his wife was home and all of that stuff. So, gave it a try, had some really good times, did some great Italian cooking, learned some recipes, but did some great, yeah, some good things. But in the end, no. So here's a last thing, maybe. I have discovered that I need somebody, and I want to ask you this: what do you need in a relationship? I need somebody who is able to work on herself, able to work on himself, able to say the next day, maybe, you know what? I was angry last night and I directed it toward you, and I was wrong to do that. I was upset with myself, and somebody who can, because I can do that now.
right.
I can do
Self-reflective is very important.
crucial.
And, that they understand that thoughts create reality.
Mhm.
If you think it and say it, you're creating it.
Mhm. I understand that. And I'm thinking that so I want someone, we both need someone who is going to be reflective, but not overly self-critical. I don't want someone
Right.
that's going to take everything personally,
Right.
because I'm the star of that. I mean, I've devoted a lot of my life to learning. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's not me.
Right.
And I don't need that. And I don't need someone also who's going to be, this is a tough balance. I don't need someone who's going to see me as a poor thing because I'm a
No.
trauma survivor.
Right.
Get
My
over
first
that.
relationship, at the end, she would say, "Don't worry your pretty little head."
Oh, smack
And
her upside her head.
I know it was like,
Oh,
fuck you.
girl. Oh my God.
But it took me a long time to come to that. It took a
Mm.
hysterectomy and,
Oh, ouch. Yeah.
fem rage, which I call it. I
I
got
hear
fem
you.
rage, and then I was able to say, "I am not little." First, that was the first thing I said, "I'm not little, I am medium." And I
Yeah.
so started asserting that.
You know what I said, Denise? I started with other power struggles with people. I said, and it means so much to me. I am not afraid. I am not afraid. Because what I'm saying there is, you don't control me through fear.
Right.
I'm not afraid. I believe in myself enough that I'm not afraid to take a stand. So, sweetie, we are at the end of our time. And I just want to ask you, you're so good at just being direct and succinct. What would you name this program?
Um, well, we talked through our fears and our things that, fears, basically.
And some hopes, but mostly
And
fears.
we have hopes, right? Because yeah, I really like talking about crushing too, because it's fun to think about and it's fun to allow myself to get that wiggliness. Twitter patient. It's a spring
Twitter.
thing.
It's a
Yeah, let's
spring thing. Oh my
let's
God, you're right. I get so excited when I see everything popping up and like,
right,
oh my God, I was away for 4 days and what happened? My peonies are all like 2 feet high. Oh my
right.
God. And I'm excited about getting phlox and planting them in some really thin soil. It's like, I'm all excited. It's that kind of thing. So,
Let
sweetie,
the Twitter patient begin. That's what we could call this program.
Twitter page. I love it, honey. So, oops, want to get switched to X though from Twitter.
Oh,
Isn't that what's his name did to got rid of Twitter and turned it into
oh, right. Rebranded.
rebranded, honey? Well, we're not going to rebrand. So let's say goodbye to one another, to the people that are with us. We are working on it, honeys. We're going to send you the link so you can join us. And for those of you who got in touch after last time and said you listened afterwards and you were just really involved and engaged, thanks for letting us know that. We look forward to being able to see you and hear you and read what you're writing too. So until next time, Denise, you have a good life as
Great
a
to spend this time with you. Yes, thank
you
you.
too, and